Turn this in. Good morning, everybody. I'm on my TR Burns. I am TR Burns public page and on Influence You Next. This is the morning motivation, and as you can see, I'm at the gym. I'm back on the grind. uh, just testing out using Restream instead of going directly to Facebook or Instagram. I usually do in the morning. I usually do this on Instagram, but I wanted to test it out today. Shout out to everybody that came on last night for the Living Room Bible Study on our Influence TV Network and all the other outlets that we've been streaming on. But try to come on and do these motivations to encourage those that are in the marketplace, that are in business, that are in family, and they are, every day can be a challenge just to begin our day. And we always want to make sure that our day is built. It started in consistently managed by faith, whatever it is that we are trying to do. We need to make sure we have a plan of action. And that's one of the things we talked about last night is unmasking fear. And we ended at that point where when you have to build something by faith, you need to have a plan of action, a faith action plan by which you're going to achieve that. One thing about faith, it is incremental. And so a lot of times people operate in fear because they're looking at the matter from the perspective of the whole thing. I need $1 million. Then they're looking at it from the dollar, the first dollar they need, and the second dollar they need. Faith from incremental steps and incremental bricks in your mind and in your heart, it becomes attainable. And so today, as you're building whatever you're building, you must deal with and really look at, do I have a plan of action? How I'm going to achieve this in 5 years, 5 months, 5 minutes, whatever do I need to achieve? And so, been out for like 2 weeks. Had a few, was under the weather, and then my wife's birthday, went on vacation for her birthday, and that was great. But one thing that I know is that our goals have to be met. And many times when it's time to meet goals, certain things will try to arise, whether it's health issues, whether it's financial issues, to prevent you from being consistently diligent in pursuing the things that you're called to pursue. So faith is a force. So if you're going to build today, build with the force of faith. A nail does not go in usually with one hit. It takes a series of constant strategic hits to be able to nail and get that nail into where it has to go. And so you can look at what you got to do today from that perspective. I got to consistently hammer. I got to consistently swing the hammer to achieve the goals that I need to achieve today. So, I'm working on a few projects business-wise, and they are huge projects. They're things that require an enormous amount of money, enormous amount of skill and ingenuity, but most of all, an enormous amount of faith. And so whatever you're building, if it doesn't require you to believe God for it, and it doesn't require you to have faith for it, you will usually see that thing is not necessarily the thing you should be pursuing. You should always pursue the thing that requires you to need God to achieve the end result of that thing. And so you might be dreaming too small. You might be looking at it from the perspective, what can I afford? And that is some of the things that we deal with a lot of times in fear, because we're looking at it from the perspective of what I can afford, what I can do. But we want to look at what God can afford and what God can do in what we are doing today. All right. So in the business perspective, in the business point this morning, start where you're at. There's so many people that are professional students. They're out here and they read, they take classes, they go on Clubhouse, they go on Facebook, they go on Instagram, and but they are overweight or underdeveloped. We don't want to be individuals that have knowledge that is not being used. Anytime you receive knowledge, it is for demonstration. It's for us to use it to make us better. It's pointless to be a professional student where your whole life all you do is attain information, but you never demonstrate your relation. And so stop making excuses of where you're at and what you don't have and begin today, right now. Open up, do what you have to do, build what you have to build, start with the pieces you have, and God will begin to put it in line. And in that instances, with every step that you take in building your brand, in building your business, and building your family, because your family is a part of that brand, always look at it from the perspective of I want to do this in joy, even in the challenge of building it. I don't want to build in aggravation. I want to build in joy. I want to have the joy that even when I have to solve problems, it's a joy to solve the problem. And that will get you to the finish line because you have to choose your attitude because every day is not going to be easy. So here goes some things you can do. All right. Dissect your plan. When I build restaurants or I have to build stuff, I usually don't have all the money. It's real talk. I don't never have investors. Me and wife work together. We try to do what we can do with what we have. So um, you might want to open up something, but you have to ask yourself, what can I start it with in my home? Can I start it, like instead of you beginning to, trying to have a restaurant like me, maybe I need a food truck, maybe I need a food trailer, or I may want to have a full service restaurant, but I don't have the capital. So let me start at what's another business that can be a segue, maybe a juice shop, a coffee bar, something that can get me in the food industry with limited investment or with what I have, but I'm able to make money to compound and save that money to get to where I really want to be. So a lot of times we quit because we're not breaking it down and seeing what can I do today? What can I work on today? We want to have a clothing line. We want to be uh, like Tommy Hilfiger or one of these bigger names, but start where you at. Sometimes that means thinking of, twofold plans. Sometimes people forget the most lucrative part of clothing. It is not selling the t-shirt with your name on it. It is making the t-shirt that others will buy, making the materials for others to print on, and them are the most consistent parts of that business because you're going to have 100,000 people with the dream to have a clothing line, but you're only going to have 10 people with the idea to manufacture the shirts, the printing materials, buy the machines, and now you got all these 100,000 of people coming to you because they can't afford to do the machines or they didn't think that that was a priority, and their lifeline is depending on you manufacturing and bringing into fruition the thing that they want to put on their t-shirts or whatever the case may be. You have to think about that. In the food industry, the people that makes the most money is not the restaurants, but it is the purveyors, the ones that supply the raw goods, the seafood distributors, the meat distributors, the dry goods distributors, the paper goods. These are the people, but them are not the glamorous parts of it. Them not the people that get the awards, but them the people that make the billions of dollars. So figure it out. Inside of your plan of a business, there is opportunity to have sustainable financial growth if you begin to look at it from not an ego perspective, but from a business perspective. What is going to grow me? What is going to give me the tools and the abilities so that I do not have to struggle and I do not strain and can finance the dreams that I want, can finance what I need to do. So these are the things that, this morning you need to think about when you're saying, hey, I want to build something and I don't have the resources. I remember years ago I started, my first restaurant at the church, which we know today that's illegal to do. You need a health license and yada yada yada. You're not supposed to be selling dinners at your house. We know that's illegal, and it's illegal for a reason. It's illegal because there are a lot of cross contamination, a lot of things that people don't know that happens with food because they have not been trained. And so, though the food looks beautiful on Instagram, you might be selling sickness because you're working out of a home kitchen where there's contaminants that you don't even know about. And people say, "Well, I'm very clean." You can be the cleanest person, and if you don't have a serve safe and you don't go through these classes, you would never know that you're doing something incorrect. Using one rag for wiping off the counter and then taking that same rag and doing this using a food item with it. So, but we know that when we start now, sometimes our ignorance is is there, and we do what we have to do until we can do better. And I know better now. But okay, so you can't do it at your house, but there are many commercial kitchens you can rent for the hour, and you can say, okay, I'm gonna start there. I'm gonna start with a virtual restaurant. I'm gonna start with a ghost kitchen. I'm gonna start in that place, rent out this place, and just on Saturdays and do my boils or my dinners out of the commercial kitchen. And it's in my means. It's taking $500, taking $1,000. I can afford that. So these are some of the things that I want to suggest to you all. And there's other things you can do other than what I said, but the principle, the concept translates. Sometimes you're looking at the whole picture, and sometimes you got to dissect it and break it down to a manageable place. This is what I can do. This is what I can do today. This is what I can work on. Because many times that procrastination will slip in. I'm gonna wait till I got the money. I'm gonna wait till I have the building. No, start where you're at. You're in ministry. Start in your living room. Start at the community center. A lot of times you're looking at things from the wrong perspective. Remember the goal. Remember the mission. The mission is profit if you're in business. The mission is souls if you're in ministry. So break that down and then begin to say, okay, well, I can do this, and I have this opportunity right here, and this is what I'm going to work on. And you're going to see it grow. I'm telling you, that's how I started. I've never took a loan out. I never had it where, okay, I'm going to the bank and I need $4 million. Oh, I'm going to the bank. No, it's always been incremental faith steps. Okay, I'm about to stove. My restaurant I opened up in during the pandemic, in the second one in New Jersey. I brought everything debt free, and how I did it is as I see people going to business, I brought their equipment one by one, put it in storage, and then found a building, worked on it little by little. Whereas in other times past, I ain't do it that way. I was trying to get the brand newest stuff, and you spend so much money on that stuff, and that stuff depreciates very quickly. But I've learned that, if I'm debt free, that dollar that I make, even on a bad day, I'll see more of the dollar than if I have a whole bunch of people I owe 10 cents here, 30 cents here on every dollar. I don't see nothing in my business will close. So, you guys, we're going to touch on this a little bit more and some more conversations on the Dreamers and Winners podcast. And then also, we're going to discuss this some more just on our mobile TV. So, keep in mind, Influence TV Network is launching. We're going to have a huge announcement for those that want to have their own channels. I see a lot of people launching channels, but we do it the right way. You do what you got to do so you can do better. But we have the top-notch technology to help people really launch a Fire TV Roku channel and be profitable at it, and give them the tools to be a sustaining stuff. So, love you guys. You see them in the gym, and keep on working. Peace. Now, how do I turn my thing on? This is my first time doing this from the live stream. Oh, here we go.